Hello, my name is Kylie Hill, and my senior project is Student Wrangler. It is a student management software that is for the STEM Outreach Center at Utah Tech University. Currently, we keep all of our check-in data and all of our student information on Excel spreadsheets, and Excel spreadsheets are lame. We don't like them. They are super inefficient. They keep data just fine, but they're not great in the long run. So I created Student Wrangler to put check-in data, student information, and class information all in the same place with relational data structures and with a lot of JavaScript involved. So we're going to log in using Jessica Davis's login. She is the director over at STEM Outreach, so that we can demo this a little bit. Normally, if you'd want to sign up, which would have to have authorization, you'd come over here and you would fill this out. But because we have a login, today we're going to use Jessica's. So we're going to log in. This kicks us over to the Student Wrangler's check-in system. Each student will be given a little card just like this. It will be slightly different and a lot prettier, but this is just a test one. So it has Test Student 1, but it has Cora Davis, which is Jessica Davis's daughter, and it has her student ID and the logo. On the back of it, we have a barcode. So at the STEM Center, we have a barcode scanner that is able to wirelessly and wired send barcode data over to any input structure. So in this case, Cora Davis is 0002. So we're going to do 0002 and try to check in Cora Davis. But we can't because there is no class for Cora scheduled today. So we're going to go take a look at the class data. In the class data, we have all of the classes ordered in alphabetical order. And if we take a little bit of a look, Cora is in Lego Engineering, and Lego Engineering is only taught on Tuesday, and the day that I'm recording this, it is Wednesday. So in this case, we would want to either add Cora into a class, or we would want to say, oh, sorry, you don't have a class today. It's actually on Tuesdays, so it was yesterday. But in this case, we are going to put Cora into a class that is taught today, and that class is Intro to Robotics. So we're going to add Cora using this pop-up, and we're going to add her ID, which is 0002. This adds Petra into that class so that if she wants to check in for that class today, if she was registered and we just missed it, we fixed it, we're good. We're going to go back to check in and check her in. So we're going to go 0002, check in. And it works because she is now in a class that is taught today. So we're going to move on to student data. The student page has all of the student information, and it's mostly for the person that is sitting at the check-in desk. It has all of the students that have ever received one of these cards. So if Petra comes up to me and says, oh my gosh, my head hurts, I need you to call mom. One of the biggest things that was a problem for me is I'd have to scan an Excel sheet and probably have to figure out what class that she was in to get that information. But here I can just write Petra and she pulls right up. So this makes that a lot easier for me to just beep bop boop into my phone and call her up. So with that, we can also see all of the data that is being displayed for each student. We have their ID, we have their name, the classes that they are enrolled in, and their parent name, their email, the parent's email, and the parent's phone. Now, if something were to happen when the creation of that student was made, and maybe they don't want us calling mom anymore, they want us calling dad, we can just hit this edit button, change that information, and submit it. And it changes that information. To demonstrate that, I'm going to put a capital T on Tiffany Doling. Tiffany Doling is my mother. So seeing that you can see that it changed the T, and if I do it again, it also changes the D. Super awesome, super cool. So we're going to add a student. Today we're going to be adding Jessica's youngest. His name is Beckett. So we're going to add Beck, is for short, Davis. Oh goodness. And we're going to put him into Intro to Robotics. But we're also going to add him into another class, and it's going to be Junior STEM. This allows them to be in multiple classes in a semester, so that there's not a duplicate of a student. So we're going to put Jessica Davis as the parent name. Oh, Davis. We're going to put Jessica Davis's email, which we're just going to do as jessica@gmail.com. And then we're going to put a parent phone number, and we're just going to do all two. So 222-222-2222. So we're going to add that, and it gives us a little pop-up saying that the student was added successfully. We're going to say okay, and we're going to go back to our students. And Beckett will be there, or Beck, it will be in the students with those classes and all of the correct information. Just to reinforce the editing feature, we're going to change the email back to a capital J, and we're going to submit that, and it will be all changed. As well as persistence, we're going to reload this page and see that all of those changes are continuing to be shown. And if I were to change any of this data, it would also be shown. Here I can organize students by class if I needed to. This doesn't really change anything because it has multiple classes, so it tries to do some sorting, but this is kind of just how it is sorted generally. So we're going to go over to our classes page. This classes page is another one of those staple pages that are going to be used a lot. This has all of the class information and every student that is in that class. So Intro to Robotics is taught by Mr. Johnson in the gym on Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30, and it is in the spring. This is all really important information for the check-in desk person to have, for if a kid comes in and says, I don't know what my class is and I don't know where it's at, I can pull it up really easily. This is also really helpful when a parent comes in and is like, I need to pick up my student, but I don't know what class it is or what it's called. So I just look up the student's name in the students, and we'll say what class they're in, and then I come over here to see that information here. This is also where you add students and delete students if they have already been a student that has been created. So in this case, we have Kylie, which is me, and she is in Junior STEM, but she ended up being too old for Junior STEM, so we need to remove me in this class. So we're going to remove this student from the class, and it is just as easy as clicking that button. And you're probably thinking, well, maybe I want some double confirmation, which I would agree with you, but adding a student is also very easy. All you have to do is put in their student ID into this pop-up, and it adds me right back in there. So the data is so easy and important. If a student is created, I don't have to recreate all of them. They can just be in the system for as long as they need to be. Also, if the class teacher changes, say Mr. Smith is no longer teaching this class, we can change it to Mr. Johnson. So we're going to submit that, and it is going to be changed on here, and we're also going to reload my page to see if it stayed, and it did. So Mr. Johnson also now teaches Junior STEM on Mondays in the gym. With all of that, the next most important thing that Jessica Davis requested of me was to be able to export information. So we're going to try to export some data now. So that was a really important thing that Jessica wanted me to do, is she wanted me to be able to export data for grant writing purposes to send them to the Boys and Girls Club, which is somebody who pays for our AmeriCorps positions, etc. So we're going to try to export some data. So we're going to click export on the students page, which is going to take us to this handy dandy export class data. This is where we can either export all class information or we can export just one class's information. Today we're going to export, let's do Intro to Robotics, and we're going to export it to a CSV. So this is really important to Jessica because of grant writing purposes, but it shows all of the student information and what classes they're in. If it's all classes, it says what classes they're in, and if it's just one class, then it says all of the students' information. I want to add a way to export check-in data, but the check-in data is a little complex, so I left that one off for a later day. But that will also help with grant writing and seeing how many students we impacted in a year. The last pages on my web app are just supplemental pages, but they are also very important. One of them being the profile. This is where they can see who they are, what the email is, and if it's an administrator, or if it's a staff, or if it is something else that I haven't thought of yet. This is for when I have staff that need this information, but I don't want them changing it. I want to be able to implement this soon, but obviously I do not have that implemented right now. The next page is the help page, which I have found is very, very important. I have not so tech savvy administrators over at the STEM Center, so it has to be written out verbatim, very, very precise instructions. So I wrote this help page for my technology challenged friends over at the STEM Center. So one of those things being how to check in students, how to view or edit student info, how to manage classes, and how to export data, the most important things on this webpage. Also, how to contact us, which I want to have this be an actual thing so that I could give this to a lot of STEM centers or start to host this for other people as well. Also, troubleshooting tips as well. It has been really fun and I really enjoyed doing all of this and had a great time. Now I'm going to switch over to the back end of everything, the not so pretty VS Code. Ended up having to make a server that has a table for students, for classes, and for class _students. This joins those two tables so that we can have them work together but not have overwhelming tables. It's a many-to-many relationship so that we can have many students in a class, but also students can have many classes that they are taking. This was the most difficult thing that I had to reteach myself / teach myself how to do again, because join tables never really made sense in my mind, and now they definitely do. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but what really got interesting was when we did adding a student in completely, adding a brand new student. So we have some validation here, but we also needed to get a student from the students table, and we needed to add a student to their ID. I really wanted the IDs to have trailing, I guess it's leading zeros, because it looks a little bit better for the back of the barcode. If it's just a 1, then it's a couple lines, but if there's multiple zeros, then it makes it a little bit bigger. Also, if we buy ID stickers with barcodes on them, they go up to that length. So the zeros are very important. The next thing is that we had to insert the student into the class student table using the classes that they're also in. So it takes a student from the student form, and it takes the classes that they are in using the class ID, and it inserts them into this class students table so that they can work together. The next thing was getting a student. This is that really fun select statement that I was talking about. So we have student's ID as student ID and so on and so forth. But the next thing was classes. So I had to coalesce and JSON group the classes ID and get the class names for that so that the students can have their classes shown on the students page. And this was all from students, but I had to left join on class students for the class ID with the student ID, and then the same thing for the classes ID. A really gnarly, fun SQL select that I used twice, I believe. Yes, one for getting classes as well. And when you add a class, we have a fun update for when students are added into classes as well. This is a fun one as well, the class student logic and select. It had to have all of the classes information, but it also had to have an array of all students with all of their information in it as well. So it's just a really fun left join as well as a array that grabbed all of that student information so that it can be displayed on the classes page. As for fun things like that, I really had fun with creating the pages, and I had fun with having some good JavaScript that would do everything that I needed to do. And the next thing that I'd like to do, as well as the things that I've already explained, is having the site hosted so that other people could use it and we could demo it this summer. The way that I have users used on here is I have a users table, but I use bcrypt and I use sessions, and the website that I wanted to host my web app on didn't like the way that I did it with sessions, so I have to either rewrite my authentication or use a different website that I don't know about. But I'm really excited to use it this summer, and I think it's going to be really, really, really helpful and make everything so much more efficient. But that is my project. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and can't wait to see you next semester.